Thank you very much. We can open to the Q&A.
Thank you for sharing your work with us. I just found your work very profound, and because you're celebrating women in every phase of your work, and the two parts that stuck out at me was the work on, the 30 months with your baby, tracking that, and then the migrant celebration. So I think for me, I never considered tracking, and logging your time with your child as labor and work and celebrating it. But seeing that, I actually felt a bit emotional because I did the same too when and I did it mostly for me because I worked and I needed to see, and my child only slept for 2 hours when she was with me, but with our nanny, I could see that she was sleeping longer stretches. And so that, I think, is a celebration in the experience. So that's just my one comment. But the migrant capsule I really loved because I think you were celebrating these women who probably went through hardships, migrating, and to hear the name being sung out loud was really powerful. So my question is, how did they react? Did they cry? Were they, uncomfortable maybe in the beginning, but then their voices louder and louder saying their names? I was just curious about that.
Actually, they were so happy.
Um,
They were so at the beginning. Well, I met this group, like an amateur choir group. I met them 4 or 5 years ago. But then I reconnect with them to realize my project. So we are somehow a little bit familiar. And at the beginning, they were a bit shy, and they are not uh, familiar to museum situation, like art. So they were shy at the beginning, but when we had several times rehearsals, they become more and more powerful and very proud of themselves. And at the end, they were so happy at the museum when they showed their performance. They even hired one hairdresser and makeup artist to, make them beautiful. So yeah, it was really emotional. Of course, I was editing this video for like 100 times. I watched it, but every time, actually, I almost every time I was crying. It was not just about their story; it's my story as well. It's all women's story, I think. Yeah.
it was beautiful. Thank you.
Regarding this is the question I wanted to ask before, because during your presentation regarding feathers on lips, you said that that was based on your personal experience with your baby. So with them, can you please articulate a bit more about this? Because this was one of the topics that I found extremely interesting when I saw the exhibition. You mentioned taboos.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I didn't really. Yeah, okay. These feathers or leaves use so little trailer of the video, like a full performers, they were like contacting, like fighting, or this touching sexually and so on. This work, actually, when except the partner, you never really have this naked skin contacts with your family members. For example, I don't remember how I was contacting with my mom. So my baby was kind of the first time to contact really the skin, like feeding, breastfeeding as well. And there's a lot of love between mom and baby, of course, but angers and some sexual feeling is when I really had this breastfeeding. Something happened, but never heard about it before I having this experience. So there, I realized there's a lot of things tabooed, and we never talked. In nobody taught me, before this experience, real experience. So it's not only about this connection with the baby, it's about a lot of things like domestic violence, sexual abusement, everything, I think. So through this work, I wanted to somehow, talk about it. And actually, this all choreography is from wrestling game and jujitsu game. So I took some part of this sports game as a score, just change it rhythm and just the time. Yeah, that was all.
He was very interested to see all your work, and I can see you have worked with all very different artists from the different area, like the composer, choreography, dancers, actresses, and music players and choir. So I'm just wondering how was your work working with them? And then I'm also wondered if you direct all those the artists like every movement or they do just spontaneously, because I think it's really important to to direct them because they have to show your intent, your work. So they have to anyway show your message to the audience. So I don't know how you work with them.
Actually, for example, feathers on leaves, it looks like improvisation, but it's not. All steps, all detailed movements were directed by me and my choreographer. And also the project with 4 actors, it was also all like planned, like 10 steps or timing, everything was controlled. So each project, I need a professional person for the theater or for the dance or for the music, because I'm not able to organize everything by myself. So always trying to, find right person for my project. And of course, sometimes a lot of conflicts, but trying to, solve it. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love your work. And I think that usually I come to these talks and I have so many questions. And I think in a way I don't have questions because it's such a visceral, sensorial, excuse me, um, topic and experience. And I just want to say that as I was taking it as an audience and it's all these stories have come up in me. So thank you for sharing. And what I guess my question would be how have you perceived the audience response? Because it's very visceral. So people, in a sense, getting that energy live. Um, yeah, what's been your experience with that?
Mm, many pieces of my recent work made the audience crying. First response was crying. And of course, I could ask to some audiences, why are you crying? They try to relate the art piece to their own experience first. And they see maybe, their life sometimes, or their mother's life, or sister's life, or episodes, everything. Yeah, it was the first response, I think. Yeah. A lot of critics as well.
Such as examples. It's interesting.
One of as I'm directing and as I'm not making directly by myself, that point, a lot of people were criticizing, because different somehow, because the work is made by a lot of people. No, the quality of the work, or no, I mean the work could be different. If I edit all the videos by myself, for example, it could be different. The result could be different. yeah, but this is my style. Because at the beginning, of course, when I was younger, low budget, uh, I had to edit by myself. I had to perform by myself, everything. But now I'm more focusing on organization and finding the right persons, collaborators and so on. But still, I have that kind of critics.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. It was really all your performances that you did. And I really did enjoy them. And many, as Kristen said, they really have an effect on you because you really have the same experience in your life as a mother, as a woman, as a young woman before. So I was before having a child, yeah. To be in my personal vision, I really enjoyed your last work, or actually it was the first one that you did in France, was the t-shirts. I find it very playful, and I think you were already director since the beginning because you directed that show. You were one who was actually staging all the things for the guys to not to wait until they call you, or like wait 3 days rule, this very important thing. And do you think that you could actually pull off something in Korea as well, like that, not in France? Were you considering it?
I think this work is working in Europe as with my identity, like as a Asian young woman. If I were in Korea, maybe yeah, different work, different project.
It is very related to the culture.
Of
That-
course, the culture and of course, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And if it was a European artist, or if it was a European artist in Korea, would they manage?
No,
No chance.
different. Yeah, well, a lot. I was thinking a lot about this, of course, and then I have some projects. What I did, for example, I hired a European guy to my show, and he was playing a role of my partner in the opening situation. So, like hugging me and touching me, and actually, it was my project because if how do you say the white Western people, yeah, they they're to say in Korea. 좀 뭐라 그러죠? 대접받는. They're more respected. They're respected. Yeah, more respected here. Yeah. So I invited, no, I hired this white guy as my partner, and I wanted to see the reactions of galleries.
Yes, because that was the context.
Yeah. People.
Opening event, right?
Yeah.
In galleries, opening of exhibitions.
All my friends or people texted me after the opening. Wow, this is he your new boyfriend? And yeah. But I was playing with this, and I also made some video works with white guys next to me. They were playing also a role of my partner, but different persons. Even children, like half Korean children, were. Yeah, I have previous projects about this.
Hi, thank you for sharing your work with us. Raffaella has been telling me about you for a very long time now. So she's your hype woman. And of course, you did not disappoint. But I was wondering, so it seems like, from my interpretation, the common thread that I see throughout all of your works is you taking something that is private and making it public, essentially. the sum total of the experience of the first few months of motherhood quantified like that, I think for many of us was very interesting to see, because many of us have probably done the same thing. The and it's really powerful to see all of that in writing after all is said and done. It's, I don't know, it's a very complicated experience. Also, the work with, exploring domestic violence, sex, migrant women, all of these are things that are not necessarily at the forefront of like our patriarchal societies, right? So I suppose my question, and I almost hate to ask this question, but how do men react to your work? Because you have a lot of women here, and it clearly resonates with us. So I'm just wondering if you feel that men are responsive to your work. Do you feel like you have to work harder to get through to them? If you could just comment on that, I'm curious.
Um, so, yeah, of course, I was aware of this point as well. And but do you remember this carrying exercise, like a duo exercise with 3 different group, for example? I wanted to extend my artworks, to make to share with like a different audience as well. So, for example, caring is not really about women's topic. Everybody needs care, or everybody had a care. So in this work, for example, you saw 2 aged men. They were exercised together. Um, uh, yeah. So I hope it doesn't really stay in this category of women. I wanted to extend it, of course, with the different audiences. Yeah.
But did you receive any comment from men about it? So what was the reaction so far, if any, if any? Not really. No, not really. Not really. Not really. Because yeah.
Well, some audiences, they were, thinking of their relevance, for example, mothers or sisters. Maybe it was.
But because since we keep it, sorry for intruding here, but I think when it comes to taboo, especially for women, we don't share, which is what I really appreciated in this work, because we're not supposed to have certain thoughts. And those certain thoughts, I think they're not very, I think men, they don't really know them because they're men. Sorry. But that's the thing. You
Don't be sorry.
went through certain things, and now, so they haven't gone through certain experiences, so they don't know. And we tend to not talk about it because we're not supposed to talk about certain feelings we have, or sometimes anger with your kid because you are angry because you are tired or whatever. And if we don't share on the first place and they have no clue, it's so hard to, which is why I think the reaction from a man is not as strong as it is from a woman, because we feel way more involved.
It's like they don't even know what they're missing.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. No, of course. But that's natural. That's natural. That's absolutely natural. And I think we should speak up more. That's the thing, which is my little battle against taboo, and which is why I really appreciate it in this kind of work. Because the moment you talk about certain things, the moment you share, then you make them visible. And it makes life way easier for all of us. This is what I think, which is a bit of a question on my side here, because I was thinking, I made this comment with a friend of mine who was an artist, and she's based in Shanghai. And she said, oh, that's interesting, because usually I talk about those things with my therapist. And she's an artist, you know, she said, I don't put it in my art. I talk about those things with my therapist. Fair enough. Fair enough. But the thing is, when you were doing that work for those specific pieces, were you thinking, okay, this is a kind of a mission, let's say, so I have to bring up, or it was a way just to communicate your own feeling? Did you add that thought in your mind?
Well, just a way I communicate with people, with the audience. I don't have this feeling this is my mission as a feminist, and so it's not. I just wanted to share my experience, of course, through my artwork, but my artworks doesn't stay just with me, you know, it goes, you know, all over the world, you know, through Instagram, everything. So it opens all possibilities to talk about it, or yeah, maybe one response from young Korean man about this caring work. He is an artist, means he has time to take care of his young child. So he could, yeah, feel the maybe same feeling what I had. So he was, yeah, telling me, yeah, I 공감하다. Yeah, related. And so on. It was the, yeah, only response.
In 10 years, I think you would have more responses like that,
Yes,
you know.
I think so. And I realized last year I was in London for 3 months, and then after the pandemic situation, um, in the art scene, a lot of people, they already started to talk about this care subject, everything. A lot of artists talking and working on that theme. But when I was starting my work with my pairing note, for example, in Korea, we didn't really have artists who had this kind of subject theme. Uh, so it tells you maybe the societies and the cultural background, yeah, has different steps. Thank you.
We have one question.
Hello to everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me to this gathering. I was really curious to appreciate the environment and also to listen to the short part that it's really interesting. I was really impressed. It's so much intellectual also. You know, it's physical, but but intellectual so strongly. And I see, having lived in Paris for 12 years, I can see, you know, how they can appreciate. And actually, what I'm very interested in is, you know, to try to understand why you say that here. I mean, I can imagine, but maybe elaborate a little bit more, because you yourself, you're Korean, so why here there is maybe still a way to go to introduce and to be appreciated as much here.
The young generation, they are very changed. I mean, everything, and then K-pop and K-culture, everything becomes very fancy now. But still, I'm questioning the mentality. Yeah, it takes really longer time to be changed, I think. So still very conservative ideas they still have, I mean, younger generations. So that's why it's different and difficult. Yeah. example, when I told you when I was starting that kind of work with my parenting note, like 5, 6 years ago, I didn't get any fund to realize my works for several years. So I remember exactly how much I spent for realizing my first projects, and then slowly I started to get the fund. It tells you something already. Yeah. And I was so happy I could find some colleagues who were interested in the same subject as well afterwards. Yeah, they started to make some books, interviews about the motherhood. One of artists.
Yeah. Yes, please. Two more. We can take two more. Yeah.
Right. Thank you again. I can't remember if that has been answered before, and I apologize if you did answer this. Regarding your first piece with the t-shirt, I think someone asked if that could be made in Korea. And my question is that there's a lot of Korean dream with young girl, Caucasian girl coming to Korea to meet a young guy. They are 20, they're going to Hongdae. And from my understanding, in Europe, you can you can be a bit more straightforward when going for sex, and like you meet someone, it's easier. But here, what I hear is that young Korean guys are still much more romantic in the way they get roses and get the chair, and then the girl's dream, and the Caucasian girl is like, wow, I'm in love. When the outcome sounds to be the same, spend the night, bye bye. So my question is, will those young girls be able to do the same thing with a t-shirt in the piece? Because I hear lots of my kids coming to Korea and say, oh, can you keep an eye on my daughter? She's coming here. And I'm like, oh my goodness. She wants to meet someone. I know that story because it's all about that same dream.
Well, my project was realized 2005 in Paris. Now, here in Korea, maybe, yeah, something is changing. Yeah, maybe like the other artists, they can do whatever they want. Yeah.
Okay, I'm the question.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for well, I just want to say that I feel really privileged to be here, to be exposed to your work. I can't wait to discover more and see more of your work. A lot of your work explores like the dynamic with bodies and how they relate with each other. And like there was a caretaker and care receiver one. I'm not I'm not sure if there were like male bodies involved in that too, right? And I was wondering like while you were um in the in the process of making that work, did that like how that might have like changed or transformed or like your relationship with your own baby like while making the work? And I was also interested in like the detailed, it was like an artifact, like detailed notes that you made. And I couldn't really see much of it. My husband described it as like hieroglyphs, it was very symbolic, but I was just wondering if you could kind of like show more of it because I was interested in like the actual note that you took. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I explain a little bit. L5, R5, for example, means left breast 5 minutes, right breast 5 minutes. And yeah, and then star, sign star, and 90 milliliter means milk.
Bottle.
Yeah, bottle. Yes. Yeah, caca, pee pee, sleep. Yeah. this is the early part, but late part you see which ingredient she ate, like carrot, potato. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all did. I remember my doctor told me stop doing that. It's true. She was like, no, 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 because it's a way of you try to control something that is not controllable. But see, so I'm not an artist. My notes are somewhere
The material
forgotten
gone.
somewhere. Okay. One more. Yeah, we have 5 more minutes, and then this is the last one. Then.
I'm the last. So thank you for that. I now that you went through the notes one by one, letter by letter, it made me think about that note carried much more than just like a regular daily plan, let's say, or something that helps you to keep in mind. I see behind it all the pressure that you know that surrounds a woman when it turns into a mom. So everything we are supposed to. And that notes to me shows how much we are kept under pressure for that. So how much have you, like when you went through all these 30 months, you said, of, jotting down and notes, how much you use that as a way to get rid of this pressure, or how much you think it was like actually a tool to maintain this pressure, or it was like kind of symptoms of all of this, structure that we needs to encapsulate us to make us super mom we can be.
Maybe both. Well, I'm a person, yeah, who likes to be controlled or to control. So I want to know everything happened, while I'm working in my studio. What happens here, my baby and babysitter. I didn't have CCTV at home, but but it's very common in Korea to have CCTV, nanny and baby. So it was important, this note, because it makes me somehow relieved. But still, the pressure always about the child, still I always have, as a mom. So that one I can't let off. Yeah, I think.
Okay, we can say it. Class dismissed.